Good evening. This is the January 14th, 2015 meeting of the Auburn Conservation Commission. This meeting is being broadcast live, but is being taped or recorded for rebroadcast, which can be accessed by going to the auburnguide.com website. Is anyone present making a recording of this meeting? Okay. If not, the first item on tonight's agenda is a 7 p.m. Public hearing for Valdette Manfron for a notice of intent for the construction of a dwelling at 498 Rochdale Street, Auburn, Massachusetts. It's my understanding that the applicant has filed a request to continue the public hearing. Is that right, Ms. Conroy?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Do we have a new date and time?
I believe the 28th.
Okay. And what time? Would it be
It
7?
would be 7.
Okay. All right. May I have a motion, please?
I will move that this meeting be continued to January 28th at 7 p.m.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's a vote.
Excuse me.
All right. We also have a 7:15 public hearing for Kevin Patricia Maher, which was a request to amend an order of conditions. It is my understanding that the Mahars have actually withdrawn that request, and so there will be no public hearing scheduled or to take place. I don't know if anyone will come for a 7:15 public hearing. If they do, we'll address it at that point. Also present this evening are some gentlemen who wish to discuss the filing of a future notice of intent for Noria Energy. And Mr. Bellick, would that be you?
That would be us,
All right.
Mr. Chairman.
Why don't you come on up?
Thank you.
Sorry. Would that be your website?
There it is. You have a picture of you up there, Tom?
Yes, but I won't tell you how to get there. I was about 10 years younger and look about 20 years younger.
Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission, Wayne Bellick, Waterman Design, I'm joined tonight by Tony Fruchtel of AUB Engineering. Tony and I are here representing Noria Energy Incorporated, who's represented by Tom Healy. Basically, what they would like to do is essentially redevelop the site over at 611 Southbridge Street. As the Commission knows, and members of the Commission, as you drive through the Commonwealth, you've noticed that a number of self-service stations, some of them equipped with convenience stores, others not, have been undergoing some improvements. Noria Energy is one of those companies that is doing the same thing, not only here in the Commonwealth, but in other states. And with those improvements, it results in a even more competitive market for companies like Tom. So they have to keep up with the Joneses and the Smiths. Okay, so basically what they're doing is over at Southbridge Street, they're looking to make some improvements. So he is contracted with Waterman Design to delineate the wetlands over there and to perform an existing conditions, topographic, and property line survey of the site. And he's contracted with AUB Engineering to do the site design and engineering. We've also been contracted by Waterman Design, has also been contracted by Noria Energy to file the notice of intent and take them through that process. Concurrent with that filing, what they will be doing is filing with the Planning Board and the ZBA. The ZBA, I know that they have, on this particular site, there are some pre-existing non-conforming setback issues, which one of those issues would be addressed with the new improvements. So with that said, what I'd like to do is, the intent of this meeting tonight is just to obtain feedback from the Commission. That's all we want to do. We
Okay.
want to obtain some feedback so that we've got the design, we think, pretty much under control. We did look at a couple alternatives. As the Commission may be aware, and I'll present in the existing conditions plan, the site does fall within the 200-foot riverfront area. So as the commission is also aware that whenever you're dealing with a project within the 200-foot riverfront area, it requires an alternatives analysis. So as part of our schematic design, we looked at some alternatives, which, as we file our notice of intent, you will see in our narrative. That particular narrative is going to contain existing proposed conditions narrative, the alternatives analysis, and purpose for the project for these improvements. So with that said, I'd like to take a few minutes and do a brief presentation.
Is this your site here? It looks like that is, in fact.
That's the site.
Okay.
That is the site. Gotta get a new roof there, Tom.
Okay. That's why we're here.
Hey,
That's as
not
close as
bad.
I can get.
It almost looks like what we have here.
That's a pretty old picture too, because the Yankee drum is still on there. See it?
Yeah.
Oh no, that's just the.
Oh, no,
that's
that's
what's
a
left.
foundation.
Oh, the
That's all. That's
foundations?
all the concrete and everything.
Oh, is it? Oh,
I've
okay,
been
I
over
couldn't
there,
tell if it's
yeah.
just a,
It's the ghost of the
So
city.
basically,
Wow.
I guess this is
Yeah.
serving as a great tool, Mr. Chairman, because what it does is it kind of shows you that the improvements that we're looking at fall right in a very urbanized area. As we know, it's well developed. As you can see here, much of that is impervious. Okay, right adjacent to the interchanges. This particular location, one of the reasons that Nerea Energy wants to make these improvements is, I mean, if you look at the location itself and its proximity to the interchange,
Sure.
it's an ideal location. So what we'd like to do is, first I'd like to introduce the site to you. It's 1.44 acres located on the south side of Southbridge Street, and I guess we all know where that is. Of that 1.44 acres, which measures about 62,000 square feet, 23,000 square feet is located within the riverfront area. On this exhibit here, and again, this was a quick and dirty rendering, but basically what you see here in red represents the riverfront area on the property. So there's about 23,000 square feet of riverfront area on the property. As the commission is aware, you can allow the alteration of up to 10% or 5,000 square feet, whichever is greater. So 10% of the 23,000 square feet is 2,300, or 5,000 square feet, whichever is greater. So that says that the threshold on this project is a 5,000 square foot threshold. As it turns out, adjacent to that perennial stream, which is Dark Brook, is a bordering vegetated wetland. The Dark Brook enters the site in a 60-inch culvert. Comes all the way down here and discharges on the following property next door. The length of the culvert is 380 feet. So under the Wetlands Protection Act and the definition of the riverfront, perennial streams that go through culverts in excess, and I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but for those at home, perennial streams that enter culverts greater than 200 feet, the perennial stream ends, or the riverfront area ends at the head wall, at the inlet to that culvert. And the riverfront area is measured perpendicular from the stream out 200 feet, and in this case, comes out 200 feet to this location and in here. When it daylights, like I said, it daylights down in this area here, and here's the limit of the riverfront area off-site. So again, 380-foot culvert. I've been inside this thing. Not a nice place to be. 60-inch reinforced concrete culvert. As I said, there's a BVW enveloping the perennial stream, and associated with that, as you know, is the state jurisdictional 100-foot buffer zone, actually your jurisdiction as well, and the local jurisdictional 50-foot zone and 25-foot zone. So understanding the interests of the Act, understanding the intent of the Commission with their regulations and bylaws with the 25-foot zone and the 50-foot zone, when we get to the proposed plan, you can see how we're looking to preserve this area in here. Basically what happens is most of the site is paved, or this area of the site is paved, which amounts to 1/3 of the site. In this area here, while it's paved, it does have some catch basins. This area here, here, and here, 4 catch basins, which are leaching catch basins. Okay? The negative thing about leaching catch basins is whenever you get stormwater runoff from paved surfaces, dirty runoff, makes its way to the leaching catch basins and directly to the groundwater. Not a good situation, okay? It also has a couple of catch basins, conventional catch basins to the front of the site, 2 of those that have pipes that exit the basins. One of those catch basins, this one here, has a 4-foot sump, which offers some TSS removal. The other catch basin has no sump. So basically the outlet pipe to that catch basin is probably a half a foot above the bottom of that structure. So that basin does not comply. Okay? So right now the point is in terms of water quality on the site, it's awful. It's not addressed. Typical of any site like this, okay? The quantity of runoff that leaves the site comes down from this hill here, comes out across the pavement, either goes out into Southbridge Street or is collected in the catch basins. The topography on the site, as you can see, is fairly flat and typical of a facility like this. Fairly flat with a gradient, a grade change across the parking or the paved portion of the site of about 2 feet. After that, it ascends quickly at a slope of 1-to-1, about 30 feet. Surveyors loved topoing this site. So that's basically it. As you can see, what I've got is this represents the edge of the paved surface area. Okay, there's a green lawn area in here, and then there's a tree line and a row of arborvitae through here. So anyone that uses this facility will recognize what's out there. There's a canopy over the existing building and over the fuel pumps. 8 fuel pumps. You'll see here, this area in here is where the current location of the fuel storage tanks are. There are 3 tanks, about 10,000 gallons each. They're fiberglass tank, polyethylene fiberglass tanks. And unlike a lot of other facilities have steel tanks. These are fiberglass. But NAREA is looking single wall. So NAREA is looking to do a couple things here. They're looking to replace these with double wall tanks. These double wall tanks meet the current EPA requirements and federal regulations for tanks, and within the double walls, between the double walls of the tank, there's a fuel sensor in there. So if there's any sort of leak, it's instantly detected and they address it. So with that said, I'd like to leave the existing conditions. So Tony, being a true engineer, likes to have his road at the bottom of the plan. So basically, we're flipping the site upside down, okay? So what we're looking at is, again, here's your riverfront area in here, your 100-foot buffer zone, your 50-foot zone, and your 25-foot zone. They've made a conscious effort to hold this edge of pavement in here, through this area here, within your 25-foot zone. And then they've looked to the existing pavement comes up through here. And what they're looking to do is restore this area within the first 100 feet of the riverfront area to green space. And then looking to continue with impervious area up through here for a drive-through lane and a bypass lane, some of which is in the riverfront area. When all is said and done, the amount of disturbance within the riverfront area will not exceed 5,000 square feet. We're currently at about 3,000. Okay, so we're looking at about another 2,000 square feet of alteration. Now, if some of that riverfront area, some of that alteration within the riverfront area, it's important to note, as I said earlier, this is a green space. This area in here, which is currently paved, dirty runoff, is now green space. Okay? The difference between this plan and this plan is this plan will implement the stormwater management system, unlike this one, which will attenuate flows with an infiltration system. It will remove TSS with the incorporation of stormwater treatment units and deep sump catch basins. They will remove the leaching catch basin, so we're not going to have that direct conduit of dirty stormwater runoff into the groundwater. And unlike this current scenario, The only way this site gets recharged for groundwater is through permeable surfaces, mulched areas, wooded areas, and lawn areas. What happens in the wintertime is it runs off, okay? In this case here, what we're looking to do, under the Wetlands Protection Act and the state stormwater regulations, we're required that whenever you increase the amount of impervious area on the site, you've got to offset that by taking that difference and putting it back in the ground in the form of groundwater recharge. So that's what we're doing here. We're taking, not only are we taking stormwater that comes from the back of the site, routed through a stormwater treatment unit, something similar. We haven't figured out what manufacturer to go with, but it's going to be something like a storm scepter type structure, so that we achieve the full 80% TSS removal when all is said and done. So that stormwater will go from these two proposed structures into an infiltration system. Not only that, we will take the rooftop runoff, clean runoff, collect it, and route it into the system. So now we're getting groundwater recharge, which we never had before. We're getting treated stormwater, which we never had. And we're attenuating the flows. Like I said, this is going off-site unmitigated. Okay, so now we're looking at an improvement to the system. So now you look at it and you say, well, how does that compare to what exists? You're causing me to turn my plan upside down. It's okay, we'll live with it. So how does that compare to what exists out there today? So as you can see, there's some impervious area in this area here. Fuel storage tanks here. The new fuel storage tanks, part of the design, they decided to take it out of the buffer zone. So everything's out of the buffer zone, keeping in mind, again, that these are double-wall fuel sensor tanks. Okay? So that's out of the buffer zone. The impervious area that was in the buffer zone, the dirty impervious area now, a lot of that has got rooftop canopy, clean runoff, which is being collected and recharged. Okay? So when you look at the entire system, yes, we do have some increases of impervious area within the riverfront area, but it's not going to exceed the 5,000 square feet. We are proposing in terms of, and again, this is not within the Commission's jurisdiction, but this does a couple things. It's an ideal location, as we see from the site map, for fueling islands out front, which is the industry standard today. Keeps everybody out front, so as you're driving by, you'll look, you say, okay, this place is too full, I'll go to the next station further down the street by the mall. So you look at that, you see that everything's up front, so that works out well. The other benefit here is the existing conditions has the accessible spaces out behind the site. As you folks know, a lot of facilities have the accessible spaces removed from the building. You usually have to walk across a maneuvering aisle. Not an ideal situation with something like this, so what they've done is they're proposing to put the accessible spaces up front. So when you look at the big picture, one more thing. The existing site currently, in terms of setback, the building and the roof canopy are currently within the front yard setback. Again, not within the jurisdiction of the commission, but just the overall site improvement. The only thing that's going to be within the setback is still the canopy. Okay, so that's a pre-existing non-conforming use. The building now is going to meet all the dimensional setbacks. So when you look at the site today versus what it will be, it's a vast improvement. We looked at, as part of our alternatives analysis, like I said, when you folks get into my narrative, when I write my narratives, you really don't need to look at the plans. Very descriptive, okay? So when I did my alternatives analysis, I looked at a few alternatives, one of which would have shifted the building further out of the riverfront area, but unfortunately, because of this one-to-one slope, it's going to result in an enormous wall. As it turns out, this wall in this location, we had to propose a wall to minimize the impacts within the riverfront area. If there was a way to go beyond the 5,000 square feet, we would have looked at it. It would have probably been less costly, but it would have caused more clearing up in the riverfront area. So we said, okay, in order to comply with the regulations, we're going to put in this costly retaining wall, which is basically going to be one of those large block concrete masonry unit block walls, basically concrete legouts. okay? So we're proposing that on the back, at the highest point in this location, about 10 feet. So, like I said, Mr. Chairman, what we'd like to do is just obtain some feedback from you folks. We like the design, we think it's a good design. We think in terms of the improvements, we can demonstrate, I think we've demonstrated it not only in the design, but when you get the application and the narrative. Like I said, I encourage you folks to go through the narratives, because I think what you're going to find is that this design far exceeds existing conditions.
What's
There
the
will
red
be also a
line?
long-term operation and maintenance plan with a stormwater system, which doesn't currently exist on the site.
What's the red line on that thing?
The red line is the 200-foot riverfront area, and you'd come in after I had started presenting that. But under the Wetlands Protection Act, because this perennial stream, Dark Brook, enters this 60-inch culvert, which is in excess of 200 feet, the riverfront area ceases, or that section of Dark Brook is not considered perennial until it exits the culvert down below. So essentially the way it works is, by definition, the riverfront area is measured perpendicular to the point at which it enters the culvert, a distance of 200 feet.
Yeah, just because I saw the
Yep.
two angles, it didn't make much sense.
Blue line,
but-
100-foot buffers on it. So when, like I said, when you look at the improvements that are proposed within the most critical areas on site, areas within your jurisdiction, but when we look at a site like this, you know, we look at your areas of jurisdiction, but we're also, when we look at it from a stormwater point of view, and look at all the improvements that we're making beyond your jurisdiction, eventually, it is in your jurisdiction when it enters the system downstream. So we look at this as one small step in a bigger, in many steps to come at some point with all the properties in the area to improve their stormwater. We're one of the first ones in the area that's looking to do that.
This project is similar, it seems to me, to the Cumberland Farms project that was recently done.
Yep.
And so I have a few questions. Are you increasing the number of pumps at this station?
We are
From how many from 8 to how many?
to 16.
So you're gonna dou-
There are currently 4 fuel dispensers, so double-sided, that's
Right.
8 positions, and we're looking to put in 8 fuel dispensers with
Yeah.
16 fuel
Okay,
positions.
is it going to be a total demolition? Are you taking everything down? Are you going to preserve anything that's at the original station?
This area in here, Mr. Chairman, within your jurisdiction, the 25-foot area,
But I'm talking about the buildings themselves.
those are coming out.
So
All the
total
structures
demo,
will be
the old tanks are going to be pulled out.
Yeah.
The fuel tanks that are going to be installed there, same capacity as the existing tanks or even a little bit bigger?
We have 30,000 gallons capacity now, that's what we're proposing.
So that's going to be sufficient to fuel the 16 pumps? Okay.
And, you know, I think we can all agree that the other station, their competitor, I think when you look at that station now compared to, not that I ever went there, Tom, okay? But when you go into these stations, there tends to be a bit of congestion, okay? When you look at the existing station today, the way and it's not unlike many stations out there, you look at the fueling islands to either side of the building. So that as you're coming down the street, you can only see this area in here, or even if you're coming in this direction, you can see how many cars are here. So before you make your decision, you're pretty much here. So you slow down anticipating to make that left turn, there's no room. In this case here, and this is part of the reason why a lot of these facilities take their fueling stations out front, it provides a great visual. Doesn't create situations out in the street. So not only does it make for improved traffic circulation on site, but off site as well.
How much bigger will the retail space be in the store? I mean, I know that station. I'm sure most of us, if not all of us, have gotten gas there. And there's basically just a small kiosk that's there now.
Right.
What's going to be the size of the building behind the pumps?
Significant.
Probably about 3,500, 3,400? It's probably about 3,500 square feet.
Yeah.
So it's much larger.
Yeah,
That's,
Yeah, it looks like
the
it's a lot
facility
bigger.
that we have there
Ready to
now,
roll.
it's almost considered a kiosk type building.
Right, exactly.
Yes, this would be more of a larger type convenience store with more offerings in there.
Sure.
I think what we've seen with a lot of these facilities way back when, and I don't know the situation here, but you look at a lot of these facilities that were self-serve and full-serve stations. So they would have a bay on the side of the structure where they would maintain vehicles or repair vehicles. And then as it became popular to go with these convenience stores, they would knock that wall out and make it a full convenience store. So I think we see a lot of that. So in that particular case, again, I don't know what the situation was there and whether or not they...
When was that originally built?
I would guess that that structure was probably put in the 1980s at some point. I know that the tank age, I think, is from the mid-1980s, so I'm going to guess that the facility was probably reconstructed at that point.
Okay.
Is it going to have a drive-through? Did you
Yes.
say that?
Yeah. So again, when you look at this type of facility, you go here, you pump your gas, you run in, you grab something, grab a coffee and a donut, you hit the pike, you're on your way to work. That's ideal. I mean, when you look at these facilities and you look at drive-throughs, I mean, as I said, and as Dan pulled up on the screen, it's an ideal location,
Sure.
you know?
Is it the same property? You didn't have to acquire anything, you're just kind of clearing out more or something, or?
No acquisitions.
Okay.
So again, what we wanted to do was get the feedback from the commission. We look at it technically as being a much cleaner site when all is said and done. We are going to push that envelope. We're going right to the 5,000 square feet for alteration, but that 5,000 square feet, that 2,000 square foot differential is an improvement, vast improvement to what you have today.
Right. Okay. Any other questions from the board? Well, I guess we'll look forward to getting your NOI and your final plan.
We look forward to showing.
When do you think that might be?
Probably, I'm thinking maybe within a month we should be
Within
fine.
the next
Wow.
month or two.
Okay, well, very good. All right.
Well,
Thank
again,
you for coming in.
we do appreciate your time. We think that these meetings are very much worthwhile, and do appreciate you folks having us.
Okay,
We
thank
look
you.
forward to seeing you in a couple months.
Very good, thank you.
Thanks a lot, folks.
Thank
Have a good
you.
night.
Good night.
Have a good
Good
night.
night.
I always have like 6 pens in the front of my purse. I just cleaned them out. Now I just my screwdriver's down there.
As a point of information myself,
That's a
we
cheerleader.
did not have the hearing at 7
Thank
p.m.
you.
for the applicant.
We did not, because what, I can actually fill you in, well, I can fill you in now if you want. They actually, Mr. Goodman was late in getting a check to Ms. Washburn. As a result, she didn't have a chance to conduct her review, and the applicant requested a continuance to our next meeting.
Okay. I thought I saw an email like that, just making sure that.
Sure. And then the 7:15 public hearing, the Mahars withdrew their request to amend their order of conditions.
Okay.
They're gonna, I think, take another look at what they've filed and see if they can work with what was approved.
Okay.
Were we going to vote on that,
Vote on
Mr.
what?
Arrow? Do we have to vote
I
on
don't
that?
think we, no,
No.
no, not at all.
All right.
So the next matter on our agenda is a discussion with representatives from Diamond. So gentlemen, if you'd like to come up here, have a seat.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
How you doing, Joe?
Doing very well.
Good. Excellent.
Hi, Sam Kowalski, EBT.
Thank you.
Joe
Simon
Simon.
from Diamond Chevrolet.
So one-
First, we would like to thank the board for hearing us on this matter. We all know it's been going on for quite some time, trying to get this road, something accomplished with the road.
Sure.
You know, we're all trying to just find a viable solution to the matter at hand so the board is satisfied and we can get our road, you know, and benefit the town and Diamond.
Absolutely.
You know, what we would like to request, and I don't know if it's viable or not, is to have, on our dime, of course, have Mr. Kravosky work with Mrs. Washburn to come out with some sort of plan to have this thing, you know, pulled forward and present the plan to the board to get it to something that you guys want and we would want to do as well to make this whole thing happen
Sure.
for the town and for Diamond. So, I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. Margaret, I mean, I knew that there was informal discussion about that. I think clearly Mr. Grabowski and Ms. Washburn know the site as well as, if not better than almost anyone else. You know, we've been out several times, but I know that they both know the site extremely well. They know what the current conditions are. They know what the deficiencies are at the site. And I think they also recognize what can be done to make the relocation of Faith Avenue a viable project. So, and I don't know, in terms of a timeline, what you have in mind. I mean, clearly we're in the middle of the winter now.
Yeah.
But, I mean, what do you have, what's your suggesting, Glenn, on that?
To meet the performance standards that the denial saw as a deficiency, which is clearly the replication area, Ms. Washburn in the DEP agreed that the test holes in the parking lot did not make it to the water table. But we have found another location that does have water table at the eastern end of the site, and we'd like to look at this with Ms. Washburn. We've already brought our soil evaluators out there from Waterman. We did test holes 3 feet down, found the water table. The evaluator also saw this hydric soils, and we find that there's a potential to split the replications, one up above nearer the wetland and not going as far north as that other replication did, and a second replication would be at the just in the area of the outflow of that, where the water flows into the pipe.
Okay.
Where it flows out, it's still on Diamond property, so we talked to DEP, and I know that that's not your total thing here, but we found water table, and we would split the replication area in half to accommodate the lost wetland that we're proposing.
Okay, now the wetland, as you know, I mean, part of the replication area had failed. It
Yes.
did not take it.
Yes.
So does part of your proposal include bringing that replication area basically up to snuff so that it actually performs?
We would look at the amount of wetland out there as you originally looked at, and how much we are losing, and keep that loss under 5,000 square feet, which also includes the 575 square feet that was lost in the past.
Right.
So we'll round it to 4,500 square feet, and that would leave 1,800 square feet of the existing wetland, as DEP has stated. The existing replication area, we're going to count that as a wetland.
Right.
So there's 1,800 there. Then there was 2,000 square feet with the proposed loss to move the road. That would be new wetland. That's similar. So the gist of this whole proposal would be, again, to still look at the road in the general location that it was proposed, but ensure that we made the full replication area to the satisfaction of the board, Margaret, to the regulations on the 1055 clause, which is making sure we have water table to drive the wetland.
Sure.
And we do have water table down below, near the surface, in upland areas. Cullinan had originally flagged it. And
When was that?
it was a long time, quite a few years ago, but we're looking at reflagging. We're gonna, it's a whole new plan.
Right.
We would bring your consultant out, show her the channel down below, show her the soil evaluator's results. The test holes are small, so we left them open so she can evaluate them also.
Okay.
And they're covered to make sure nobody falls in. They're only 3 feet, so they don't make it to the 4 foot depth where we'd have an issue with leaving a trench open. So they're shallow enough to identify, but it's exotic invasive species down there too, so it would be a lot of restoration, removal of all those species and getting down. And this would be an area that could be a pollution attenuation, because once our water comes through the replication up above, it would still flow down below. It would be attenuated again to clean it up more before it passes on to I-395 property.
Okay.
So that's what we'd like to discuss with Margaret and see if she agrees that this would work under the amount of loss that we're looking at.
Okay. All right. I think so I can give her something
Yes, sir.
to review. If you could basically put your proposal in writing, and then you can address it to me, for example.
Yes, sir.
What I'll do is that we will then contact Ms. Washburn. I'm sure she can make arrangements with you and Mr. Simon to go to the property. She can give us a quote on what the cost would be to basically review the work, and basically work as a consultant to correct the conditions at the site. Once we know what the cost is, we'll obviously provide that to you, and then we can get going on this.
Then we would work towards creating those plans again that would cover these areas.
Right.
Waterman, we're just holding them back
Yeah.
until we understand if this works for the town, because we see it working for the performance standards, if it works for the town, then we'll do full-fledged plans and then be back in front of you with a notice of intent.
Fantastic.
We just didn't want to go ahead and get Waterman back in.
No, I
and
understand.
everything, so that's great. Yeah.
Okay, so that sounds reasonable to you?
Yes, well, we already have a draft out, so we'll finalize that draft in the next few days
Okay,
of the parameters, which I've been sharing with my clients, so it's already drafted out, and then we'll pass them on to you.
excellent.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello.
Thank you very much, Chairman.
Thank you very much.
Good
Good
night.
year to y'all, because we haven't seen you
Thanks,
since.
you
Thank
too.
you again.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
Bye, take care.
Take care.
It does feel a little bit chilly in
Yeah,
here.
it's getting cold.
Oh, good. Yeah, it's getting colder, right?
It's winter right now.
Yeah.
Do tell.
Colder
Uh-huh.
in the winter than in the summertime.
Is it?
At least in the
Not in
summer.
my office.
You know what?
Sometimes.
You know what? You come to these meetings, you learn something new every time.
Well, this is all about
Wealth
nature.
of knowledge.
Yeah,
Actually,
right,
Wealth of
right.
Connected
knowledge.
to the
There
planet.
you go.
All right.
Oh boy.
The next item on the agenda is 34 Mill Street.
Oh.
Do you care to share with us what you've learned?
I just had, I sent the pictures to everyone. I don't think I sent it to the Auburn Conservation.
Oh,
Just,
Question of
Storage.
cars?
The ones that came
storage
through
of
upside
both,
down?
trailer,
Stuff.
travel trailer, those Planet
Oh.
Earth boxes.
Did you send them to the email?
I don't know if I did.
Our email?
I don't think so.
I had
That
to
really should be
I'd
our
say no, I
default, though.
had to
Anything
Yeah, it
look
really
at
Yeah.
should.
West.
Anything should get CC'd
Okay.
into there.
Pull it up.
Next time.
Make a note of it.
Nope.
Did anyone look at the pictures that I emailed?
I
everybody?
glanced at them.
Nope.
Oh, you know what? I
Standing
could
on my head,
I
I
could
did.
email
Yeah, I
them.
could
I
just-
forward
Standing on my
them
head,
to
I did.
that
Oh, yeah,
address.
we're all upside down. I couldn't
Let's
flip 'em.
see.
I couldn't-
You know
I
what,
didn't
though,
take
through the
time to
miracle
go
of
in and
modern
flip 'em.
technology, Dan's going to take the email you sent to him and
wireless
post it to our website.
through
Okay,
the airwaves.
I don't know when that was, Dan,
Let's see.
a couple weeks ago anyway.
Mill Street.
Bingo.
Okay. Yeah, it's gonna be just like magic.
So,
Technology
Must be
is wonderful.
fascinating
Forward.
to watch him do this phone thing.
Depends on how easily our
People at home, this is
how
amazing
easily
what's going
amused
on.
our audience
You can't
is.
see it, but Dan is doing. We could not do this 10 years ago.
Oh wow, we couldn't have done it that quick.
5 years ago.
Everyone's a critic.
Yeah,
Look at that.
Look at that.
Are these the upside?
It's
No, they're not upside
technology,
down.
it's
What's
in
wrong with
there,
that?
right
Google
side up,
figured it
too.
out.
All right,
Okay.
Wow.
so
what's the issue?
Just the person didn't know if there was gasoline, they didn't think anything was supposed to be stored outside of the fenced area. But
And that's
I
not
know
the
that
one-
was the
that's
vehicle.
more impressive is look
Is
at
that
that one.
one? That's pretty.
Got them bigger. There we go.
That's a lot of stuff.
Well, focus on the left. What is that?
It's like debris.
It looks,
It looks like metal
like
sheet
trash
and,
in an old-
and
it's
yeah.
like an old snowmobile
Yeah,
or
there's a
something.
snowmobile.
The boxes don't bother me
No,
as
that's
much
it.
as the debris on the left
I don't
does.
want to see
Yeah.
It looks like an old shed that fell in.
It looks
Right?
like metal
It's
metal
like-
sheeting
Like
or
an old
something.
metal
See down
shed.
south.
that fell down.
What's the date of the email?
Sheila,
2 weeks ago?
There's no truck in the backyard, Get the date.
date on the email is
That's it,
30th.
All right,
Yeah.
so 2 weeks ago. All right, well, what does the board think?
I think it's a mess.
Okay, aside from that, thank you, Captain Obvious.
It
No,
seems
seriously.
like a violation of. I mean, it's materials being stored within the buffer zone.
That's
Yes.
absolutely true.
I mean, the only question is how much of what we are seeing is inappropriately
What
within the
if
buffer
There's a
zone.
vehicle in there too, right?
Yeah. What is that?
That's,
not
that,
supposed to
is
be
that the fenced area right there where it ends, where the yellow boxes are?
So-
Is that the
As
fenced
I
area?
recall,
It-
vehicles were not to be stored on impervious ground over
Correct.
there.
Or non-impervious.
Yeah, that was
Okay.
supposed to be all
Yes, that's
paved,
a
wasn't it?
vehicle. I would imagine
Yeah.
that counts as a vehicle.
Yeah, and then that car, there's a
Would-
car right there.
There's
right
something
next
in
to
the
boxes.
background,
We
too,
would need
behind
to
the
pull the
thing.
order conditions
Mhm.
for this site. And Mr. Rumter has not been before us for several years. So I guess the question then becomes this. Do we send a letter first and advise them of the violation and give them a deadline to clean it up? Or do we go right to an enforcement order? What is the feeling of the board?
I'd maybe just,
Well, it does seem like it's been a while since we've dealt with this site, yes?
It has been, and
So we could give benefit of the doubt and say,
Send a letter.
hey,
Yeah, I would be in favor of sending a letter.
and okay, and I think perhaps attach a copy of the photograph indicating this is our issue. All right.
okay.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? It's a vote. I'll start drafting something.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. The next item on the agenda is a meeting of the Forest Park Condominium Association tomorrow evening at January 15th, on January 15th at 6:30 at the Packagug
Dan, you're
Church.
smiling, is that because you want to go?
I'm working.
No.
I'm smiling because I'm working.
Oh,
I have meetings.
The last time, I think
Matt was supposed to
there
go.
was a scheduling conflict, and Mr. Benoit was supposed to attend, but Mr. Benoit has gone on to bigger and better things,
Yes.
being appointed as town planner.
No, actually, weren't you supposed to go and then they
I was filling
canceled?
in for him.
Oh,
Right.
okay, right.
So there is a meeting tomorrow night at 6:30. Mr. Reich is conveniently indisposed.
Almost always working that time of
Okay.
day.
The meetings on
Me too.
Thursdays.
How,
I have a meeting that ends at 6:15 in Worcester, so I'd probably be like 6:45.
okay.
I think we should have had Matt as his final
Nah, it didn't work that
act
way.
of,
We don't have any
Yes.
control over him.
yeah, not anymore.
I don't understand what they want us to do, or else I would
I think
be a
they
bit
want us
more
to
willing.
explain who we are and what we do.
As
Oh,
long as we
yeah,
don't have
I'm
to
not
give any
doing that.
advisory opinions.
I'm
'cause
too
we don't
new
do
for
that.
that. Yeah,
Um,
I'm too new.
I can't do it either, actually. I think we should send Sheila.
They just want us to have a beer with
Can-
them, Mike.
Can we do this? They meet every month, right?
Yes.
Can we commit to one of us going to their February meeting? Just advise that we
So
have
do you think
scheduling
someone's going to
conflicts.
be able to go?
What's that?
Do you think someone will be able to go
Yes.
in February?
Yes,
Okay.
if no one else can do it, I will do it.
February.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
All right,
That's a
so
solid
I've
commitment.
committed myself, I'm willing to take a stand.
Okay.
Take the hit.
Okay.
For the
No,
team.
you know what, no, this is our public service.
Okay, February.
All right, it'll be the third Thursday of the month.
Okay.
Okay.
Third Thursday. Maybe.
Um,
And in
The third
fact, you know,
Thursday?
Sheila?
But tomorrow is the second Thursday.
No, it's the third, because the
Is it?
first was on
Oh, the
Thursday.
second Wednesday, but the
And the third was
First
on.
Thursday.
Yeah, look at that.
tricky, tricky.
Because
Yeah.
Third
January
Thursday.
1st was a Thursday.
Yeah.
The
And
first, third Thursday before the
Sheila,
second Thursday.
when you,
Yes.
if you call them or write them, could you ask if they have any topics they want us to discuss and could tell
Sure.
us what they are?
Ahead of
Yeah.
time.
That would
Good
even
to
be
know.
better.
I think then that would be so
Yeah, he
scary.
did want me to let him know tomorrow whether someone was coming.
No.
Okay.
Okay, what else do we have?
Can't let
Everyone
you hear
got
right
this
now.
here?
Not coming.
Anyone's interested?
Oh, yeah, good point.
You know, the
The
MACC?
Oh,
annual
that's
meeting of the
already-
MACC. Michelle,
That's
Yeah.
2015.
if you can go, this is really useful.
All right,
This is like,
when is this again?
March 1st or something.
Oh,
The
well,
first
it's
Saturday in
February
March.
28th, they moved
Oh.
it up on us.
okay.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, Saturday, it's a Saturday.
It's all day at Holy Cross.
All day
But it's
Saturday.
really,
worthwhile though, it is really.
I can,
for a new commissioner, it's worthwhile. It really
I
is.
did email it to you.
yeah, you did. My husband was taking me away for my birthday, however, I could
Oh.
skip that possibly. I
Oh.
go away
Well,
now.
wait a second.
So go Sunday.
Whoops.
We don't want to
Your
cause
birthday
any
only
trouble
comes
now.
once
Yeah.
a year.
And Dan could skip work and go tomorrow, but
Yep, my birthday's
No,
the 27th.
no, it's
I
okay.
can do that, like honestly. It's not a big birthday.
That's,
It doesn't really matter, honestly.
I'm skipping work
Just
all
send
next
it to me
week.
again.
That's to
We'll
go
figure it
skiing
out.
though.
Of course you are.
You know what, if I'm committed to this, and it is a good thing to go to, it's not just one of those, all right.
No, it is. I
Okay,
mean,
all right, okay.
well, you learn about what we're supposed to be doing.
And that's good. And I do need to learn about that, because I am new and it is a good plan.
I mean,
so.
and I would encourage anyone else. I may go this year. I haven't gone for several years.
Oh,
'cause
they added,
I
we
went
tend-
last year.
we
they
tend to
added
go on
Unit
vacation.
9.
What's that?
Oh.
I tend to be
Protecting
away
wildlife
skiing when it
habitat.
happens. Yeah.
There you go.
I think that's
Fundamentals.
If only they held it during the summer.
which ones I did
No.
take.
Why couldn't they hold it
And
like?
then I'd be on my boat,
You get
so
it.
really,
Oh.
that's
If you can't go, I
Raise.
encourage you to go.
Yeah. Why couldn't they hold it like the second week of May?
All right. I don't
that,
know.
that would be a perfect time, actually.
Ski season's over.
We'll have to
Then.
Now
submit
just have
that.
the
You know,
minutes.
You have to
Well,
fill
no,
out
we
the
don't have-
surveys at the end.
You're
We'll
getting
fill
ahead
that
of
out,
us.
put that in.
Okay.
Petition to
But,
change the date.
I'm just
It's
going.
inconvenient.
I'm going by your agenda unless you changed
Okay.
on
Oh,
me.
jeez.
What I have on my agenda is after Forest Park is Southold Road. Am I correct?
That's correct.
All right. I think we can take it off the agenda because
I think so.
we voted on that. Faith Avenue appeal. The appeal has been dismissed. That come off the agenda.
Yeah.
Has it been legally dismissed?
I don't know if it's been legally dismissed.
Yeah.
I've been advised it's been dismissed.
Okay.
If you want to carry it over to the next meeting so I can determine if it's been legally dismissed, then we can do that. All right? And when we do that, we'll carry it
Okay.
over till the
Just
next
remember
meeting.
why you carried it over this
I
time.
will. What do you mean this time?
We have stuff on there, we forget why it's, we're gonna leave it
No,
on
I
there.
have, no, I'm paying attention
All
this,
right, all right.
this week. Under certificate of compliance request, we did get an as-built plan for 1 William Street, which I did go to
I
this
did too.
morning. That's what you got. It
The
had
as-
nothing to do with the well.
I did get the as-built for one.
Right, you did, and that
Yeah.
house is up. It's all
Okay.
built.
Yes.
The as-built, I mean, I did not take the as-built plan and compare it to the plan that was submitted.
Okay.
So perhaps that's something, maybe before our next meeting or at the next meeting, you can just, we can compare the two plans. But
Okay.
the house is constructed, it looks like it was, the work is complete there. In fact, someone's living there now, so.
All right.
And the adjacent lot is, all the erosion control measures are still in place, but construction has not begun there, so I guess they're waiting for a buyer.
Right, and the question on that was the location of the well.
Right.
They're wanting to put the well in, like it's 27 feet from the 25-foot buffer. So they just wanted to make sure.
As long as it's
that was-
outside the no-build zone.
Yep.
So, we haven't heard anything about 31 to 35 Millbury Street, have we?
Nope.
Okay, so that, we'll continue to carry that. We sent him a letter, didn't we?
Yes, I did. I will contact him again, though.
All right. Under enforcement orders, 490 Rochdale Street, obviously that's in progress. Hopefully, now that the check has been sent in from Margaret to do her work, she can coordinate with Scott Morrison, and we can move that project forward. Route 12 and 20, I've driven by there, and it looks like the detention basin is substantially complete. I mean, I'm not saying it's 100% complete, but it looks pretty close. It's all fenced in. So again, we can, at some point, it doesn't have to be immediately, we should go over there and take a look. Okay, now we can deal with the minutes.
Okay.
All right. I submitted some corrections to,
The minutes are on
Ms.
the
Conroy.
Auburn Conservation website.
I printed the new ones right before I left out of my office. So I don't know if they
Yeah,
were
we know what
changed.
they were changed. They were changed at about 6:30 tonight.
Yeah, right before I
Oh.
walked in my office, I printed them.
Oh, okay. All right.
so you were able to incorporate my changes?
Yes,
Okay. And my changes were clear to you?
they were
Are
very
we
clear
looking
this
at
time.
October
What do you mean this
22nd?
time? Thanks a lot. What's that?
Are we looking at October 22nd?
I am looking at October 22nd. I just had some very minor changes. Louise, I made sure your name was spelled correctly.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, yes.
So I
Except one
added,
that's popped out at me.
yeah, and then, so that was the fifth line down
Yep.
from the
Yeah.
bottom on page 1. On page 2, I changed the second line. Mr. Garland stated that he and Dan Roy visited the site and there were concerns about the instability of the drain pipe. And I took out with, on page 3 at the top, second line, I changed it to,
May potentially,
well, no, I said Michael
Okay,
Garland
that's mine.
stated that Joe
You changed
Polino was
that.
concerned about the debris at the site and that the pipes found on the property may contain asbestos insulation. So I removed potentially have. And then on page 4, it was just I think a typo. It's the third paragraph, last sentence, beginning, the plans will not be ready for the planning board. So so I added the verb. Next paragraph, third line, Mr. Stillmark would be available to attend. I took out the extra B. Next sentence, the site's visit was scheduled for, and I removed to be on. And then the next line was with the parties meeting at the LaChance home. And that's all I had for the October 22nd meeting minutes. Any other changes? Daniel?
I'll defer to you on this.
Oh, thanks. Actually,
Thank you.
to Ms.
I've been
Conroy's,
leaving her alone lately.
to Ms. Conroy's credit, though, we actually did work on these minutes extensively before. So, if no one else has any other changes, is there a motion to accept the meeting minutes of October 22nd, 2014 as amended?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's a vote. Okay. Okay, the next meeting minutes we have are for November 12th.
Change the font, huh?
Did I?
A lot smaller on this
Oh,
one than that one.
yeah. Yeah, I guess so. You like it bigger?
Doesn't matter.
I had some changes, but not many changes to these minutes as well. If you look under the 714 West Street, it would be the 10th line from the heading. It reads, wetland and plans to replicate on a 1-to-1 basis. So I added the words on a and then basis. Eighth line from the bottom, beginning impervious area created will be 49,000. I put in square feet. 2 lines below that, Japanese knotweed will be removed by excavating down 2 feet below grade. I added the words below grade. On the next page, 7th line down from the top, I put in or added the applicant is, and then using. So it reads, the applicant is essentially using the same 2006 plan. At the very bottom, I'm sorry, before that, about towards the end of that that section under 730, beginning with Mr. Morrison, I just changed the tense. Mr. Morrison suggested that once the work was complete, they will install additional erosion control barriers. I made it plural. The next paragraph, second line from the bottom of that paragraph, Scott Morrison stated he could not say for certain where the water flows. I inserted but that, and I put in it appears to flow into the wetland. It continues into a culvert under the driveway. So I removed the words to flow after continues. And finally on that page at the bottom, second line from the bottom, Forest Park Condo Association requested. So I changed the tense again, added the ED, took out the ING.
Can I just, on page 2,
Sure, please.
in the one where I said I'd like to hire another wetland consultant, can we just change that to say requested that another wetland consultant review the plans submitted?
Okay, where are we? John?
Right on, well, halfway down
Right
the
above
page,
Prospect
where my
Street.
name, where my name begins the sentence.
Motion.
Page 2.
Okay. Oh, here we go.
Oh,
There's
requested,
another.
okay.
Okay.
Requested that another wetland consultant review the plans submitted.
Okay.
Second by Matt Benoit. Vote was all in favor.
Okay, so you want it to secure the location of the wetland, you want to
Yeah,
get rid of that?
It wasn't just for that, so I
Okay.
just review the plans submitted.
Okay.
Okay, so
right.
remove the remainder of that. That's fine. On page 3, first sentence, I started it in August 2014. The post property was removed from 61A. And you probably should even put in chapter 61A so that people understand what that means.
Okay.
So I added the words in and the word the. Third line, the Conservation Commission, it begins, the Conservation Commission did not take any position, and I just changed, and Mr. Garland believed that since the other boards took a position, the commission should follow suit. So I took out feels and I put in Mr. Garland believed. And then if you look at the, there's the last sentence of that portion, it's the 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth line down, where it says the conservation position would be to preserve open space. I just say take that whole sentence out. Under 13 Sophia Drive.
Can I just add
Please.
right into that? So I thought it would be a great conservation area and one that could link with land owned by Mr. Maha. Just end the sentence there.
Sure.
Because
Okay.
it's kind of a fragment anyway, but
You're right. Okay. Under 13 Sophia Drive, it would be the third line after that paragraph begins. It starts grass clippings over the banking, and I inserted wanted to advise them. And that's all I have for the meeting minutes for November 12th. So if no one else has any additions, is there a motion to accept the meeting minutes as amended?
I'll make a motion, we accept meeting minutes of November 12th as amended.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's a vote. Okay, and finally, we have the meeting minutes for December 10th. I have some minor changes to these. Under 715 for 9 West Street, tenth line down begins with the filing of the notice of intent was due to the minor portion of the wetland, and I added being impacted. And then the second line from the bottom, beginning with proper hydrology, I inserted the knotweed will be removed by digging down 18 inches. I removed the beginning of that sentence, which was in order to eradicate the knotweed, so I just took that out. So now the sentence would read, the knotweed will be removed by digging down 18 inches to remove the rhizomes, as this is the area that will be replicated. And that's all I have for December, meeting minutes for December 10th. Any changes, any other changes? Okay. There being none, is there a motion to accept the meeting minutes of December 10, 2014 as amended?
so moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Nope.
There might be.
Oh, wait a
No.
minute.
All those in
I
favor?
just answered for me.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
It's a vote. Okay. Does anyone have anything else? That's germane to our commission check.
Yes, I guess. I did see that and I haven't emailed her about this or anything, so it's not on the agenda.
Okay, that's
But
fine.
noticed that the Department of Public Works is doing some work down by the brook down there, removing trees and all kinds of things. And I can't remember if they, I guess that must be covered under some notice. of
It didn't
intent,
go
right?
Down
for
where?
us,
Yeah,
say
he
there's something
came.
about that.
Yeah, near the dam, right? Is it
No.
near the dam?
No, this is
no,
down
this
by the
isn't
brook,
down.
down by the, on
He
Berlin
did send us
Street.
an email.
Today?
I remember.
That was
Sure,
today,
I
right?
forwarded it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Huh.
I was
Little
wondering about that too.
bulldozer
I went
and
all
stuff
by
like
him.
that.
Yeah,
I
Where
think
was it,
it's,
down by Brook Street?
no,
No.
on
Oh.
Berlin Street.
Berlin, okay.
It's on an access road that's run by the sewer department. So I think it would be the sewer department's notice of intent.
Yeah, they have, I mean, as long as it's not a major
99.
project, they have a general order of conditions.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know we did get an email
Maintenance
from,
on easements.
from Bill.
Yes,
I don't
Yeah,
know,
easement.
he was doing something else, was it?
so I don't know if it's that site or not. We
But they-
should review the email.
We're basically clearing they have
It's
an
not
access
always
road. They're
accurate.
clearing a lot of trees and things right next to the brook.
Can't
So
say I was down there.
All right.
I just
You think
noticed
it's
that.
I think it's the sewer department?
I guess it's just the Department of Public Works, but
All right.
I think it's them. Maybe want to
They had the
When-
orange trucks too. Were you there with the orange trucks?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
it
the DPW.
branches the road and
Yeah,
stuff when I was driving. But they
What I'll
haven't
do is
cleared
I'll
it up.
review the email that we got from Bill, and
Yep.
if it's not that project, then I'll shoot him an email and ask him what's going on there for a status.
Okay.
He's pretty good about getting back to us.
Yeah, he is.
So,
That's just something I noticed, it's right next to the water.
sure, of course. Okay. If there's nothing else, is there a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. Is there any discussion? No.
No.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? It's a vote. All right, thank you very much, everyone.